Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Group Talk Live. I'm Danny Summers with the Garden Center Group, and we've got Sid Raisch here to talk about really the second in a three-part series of Operation Engage. This one, Operation Engage the Engager. Sid Raisch.
Thank you, Danny. Welcome, everyone who's listening live or on the recording. We're happy that you joined us, and we'll make the best of your time here. I have about 30 slides that usually equates to about 30 minutes for me. So we're going to try and keep this concise, and I'll even see if I can shorten it a little bit from that. We'll also take time for those who are able to stay at the end for questions. So if you have questions, please make note of those as we go through. And then Danny will call on those questions at the end, and we'll take care of those. So I can stay as long as you like for that.
Sid, just couple housekeeping things. Everyone, if you're on the Zoom app, at the bottom left corner, you'll find a mute button. If you will mute your microphone, if you're on a phone, please mute your phone itself. Also, in the center of the app screen, in the bottom center, there is a chat window or chat button. And if you'll use that to make notes of any questions you want to ask Sid at the end, that would be a good way to document that. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Danny. Okay, well, we will dig right in now. This is titled Operation Engager Engagers, and I put the cover of a great book on there. I'm going to talk more about that book in a little bit, but the whole idea, though, is to engage the people who are engaging your customers. So we'll dig in. Last time we talked about why traditional selling efforts won't meet the need of the peak spring the way that we're used to having it in most parts of the country. So when we have the limitations on the number of people we can allow in the store at one time, we won't be able to get as many people through on a peak day. Pretty simple concept, but it's reality. In my conversations with some clients the last couple of days, I've had them look at the amount of customer transactions that they have on their peak days, let's say their top 5 days. And we look at what that number is, and then we compare that to what's going to happen when they're limited with the number of people in their store at whatever size store that limit means. And the idea is in those cases we looked at, it's only going to be about 25% of the customers that are going to be able to come through the store in the same hours. Okay, so we want to understand that. We want to understand how we're going to meet our need. Typically, what we're looking at in most years, and I work with every client on this, is how we can raise that invisible ceiling so we can do more business on those peak days. And we look at things like how can we extend the season at the front and the back? How can we take care of the known customers outside of those peak days? How can we build the shoulders of spring is a common term. And for whatever increase we can get in raising the invisible ceiling and getting more business in those periods, let's just say it was 10% increase, what we've found is that 10% increase will bear out the rest of the year. So every other month after that, we'll have a 10% increase over that month, year over year. So that's what we typically have done. Now this year, this isn't apparently going to work. So we've got to look at other strategies. So again, last time we talked about systematically evening out the year by creating a base level of deliveries and a base level of pickups, and then what I call the base level of engagement with known customers that we bring them in outside of the peak before and after the peak of spring. When you think about it, when all of your known customers try and come in when they normally come in, and they're not able to come in because you have to restrict the number of people in the store, well, nobody knows what's going to happen there, but we've got to be thinking about that. So engaging your engagers is first about engaging your people in general, and then we will get into how do we engage more customers systematically so that we can take care of them in a highly effective manner so that their transaction might be 2x to 4x or more of what it would have been if they had just come through the store with a cart. One thing we know about customers is when they come through the store and they grab a cart and they fill it up, that is an invisible ceiling on their transaction. So the size of the cart determines the size of the sale to a large degree. Yes, we have people that get 2 carts. Yes, we have people that we deliver for, they don't get a cart. Other ways that we bust the cart. But overall, the cart is a severely limiting factor normally. And that's why we have the path that we have. So as we move forward, the thing that we left last time with is the question, what's going to happen if we create a safe and socially distanced, lean, mean, virtual, engaging machine? That's what we're after. So with that, we'll move on and dig into this session. So that was a little bit of a recap of last time. Now we're going to move into this one. So Operation Engager, engagers. Here's what we want to think about first, is who, not how. So let's think about who the engagers are first. And the first engager is yourself. You're engaging your team, and this is the place that you begin with. I have a program, Executive Advantage. It has these 2 questions. How do executives think? What do executives do? Executives in big companies have the same problems you do, just bigger. So how do they think? What do they do? They handle massive volumes of business, and they do it systematically in the way that they think and the way that they do things. One way is they become the leader of leaders, and they're focused on that. There's what I call the executive mantra that we use in Executive Advantage program, and that is that leaders develop leaders. Okay, they know that they can't do everything in their businesses. They can't wear all the hats that we try to wear in horticulture. How do they do that? They develop leaders. Not only that, though, the best of them develop leaders who develop leaders. So the leaders they're creating are created to develop other leaders to follow in behind. And that's how their organization builds. That's how they staff a new store, for example, and how they accomplish more things with more people. And we add to that, for the very best, the leaders develop leaders who are developing leaders. It's kind of complicated, it sounds like, but it really is a simple concept. If we create a culture where we're developing people to be leaders, then we can build the business. And make it simpler if you want to keep a small business. That's just fine. Okay, let's begin at the beginning. It's always been people. No matter what's been accomplished, anything that's been accomplished with any level of greatness has been done through people. And the way this happens is first we have to engage ourselves as the top leader or the leader of whatever we're leading. I used to joke about work that I did with McDonald's in landscaping and landscape maintenance of their stores in a business that I owned in Dayton, Ohio. And we joked about the assistant manager of the $10 slot in the third register, because it seemed like they had managers for everything and assistant managers for everything else. And I don't know who was not a manager there. It's kind of like the bank, you know, everybody's a vice president. So anyway, if we're going to lead people, though, the first thing we need to do is engage ourselves. And before engaging the engagers, if we don't engage ourselves properly, we're not going to be very effective in engaging the engagers. So engaging yourself, I'll go back to the Executive Advantage program, and there's a set of principles in there. And the number one principle, the first one, my priority, is the work rest principle. I have the story that I tell associated with this. It's when I went to lead a bus tour on one of the garden center tours. And as I come to the bus in the morning to check in with the driver and just be there to greet people as they come in and board the bus, I hear someone yell up the street as they're coming to their buddy that was already standing next to me, "Hey, how you doing?" And then this guy said, "Hey, this is my first day off since February when I opened up the greenhouse." Now, this tour was taking place in mid-August. So from February to mid-August, he hasn't had a day off. Here's the rest of that. This is not a day off. I'm there to work. He's there to work. This isn't even a day off. I mean, we have this all so wrong in our business that we don't even see it because we're just like blinded by overwork. The work rest principle says if you take a rest, you can take some more work. And it's an important thing to have in mind. It's very, very important that you get the proper amount of rest so that you can think and act properly. So if you want to think like an executive and act like an executive, getting the proper rest is the first thing you take care of. One of the most important things that is little known about executives is, especially in bigger companies, you know, they tend to have a couch or sofa in their office. You know why that's there? Because they tend to take an afternoon nap. So it's true. Okay, can't make this stuff up. Other times they have a door that goes into a private lounge where they take a nap. Or if they're able to go home for lunch, they take a nap while they're there. Little known, but true. Number two in the executive advantage principles is this: prepare and protect your own mind. Prepare and protect your own mind. With that, I want to share, again, come back to the book, Hug Your People, as one of the ways to prepare and protect your own mind. In building your people, there are 4 great books that I highly recommend, and I'm just showing Hug Your People's cover there, but there's a link when you get these slides that you can go to that has this book list. So the other books on that list, I'm just going to hold them up here. Hug Your People's number 1, and these aren't necessarily in order, but another great one is The Advantage. You would think I wrote that one. It's actually a great, tremendous speaker and author, Patrick Lencioni. Wonderful book, Why Organizational Health Trumps Everything Else in Business. Organizational health trumps everything else. That means taking care of yourself so you can take care of your people is number 1. Here's another great one, All In. All In. The subheading on that one is How the Best Managers Create a Culture of Belief to Drive Big Results. Wonderful, amazing book. Here's the third one. It's not what you sell, right? It's not what you sell, it's what you stand for. Wonderful book again. Great quote on here, Jim Collins, the author of Good to Great, wrote, and it's right here at the top. Dedicated to the idea that true greatness comes in direct proportion to passionate pursuit of purpose beyond money. Amazing book. And as you know, Jim Collins writes about highly profitable companies as well as highly effective. So build yourself to build your people, prepare and protect your mind. You may be thinking, I don't have time for reading right now. And I understand that. It's kind of true and kind of not true though. If you just pick up a great book and choose your time first thing in the morning, or my preference last thing before you go to bed, don't worry about falling asleep reading it. That's the best thing you can do, is fall asleep reading a good thought. Keep feeding your mind. Moving on. Who, not how. Engaging your engagers. A key thing to keep in mind is attitude is everything. And what we need to do is get ahead of the attitudes and lead the attitudes of our people if we want to be successful. If the attitudes of our people start going downhill, they tend to keep going that way. And other attitudes tend to follow them. If we lead the attitudes up, they tend to follow that way. More attitudes follow that direction. Here's a business killing attitude. We don't like the pressure sell. We don't like the pressure sell. Well, you know, I know that's true. Nobody likes the pressure sell. And the reason that that's true is because we don't like to be pressure sold. You know, salespeople are almost the most hated profession in the world. Kind of next to attorneys, I think. But nobody wants to pressure sell. No one wants to be pressure sold to. It's not about pressure selling. Here's what it's about. It's about being a sales professional, being professional itself. Nobody would object to a professional salesperson once they understand this and once they define what professional is. So let's think about that a minute. How would a professional salesperson think, and how would a professional salesperson act? let's do that. So we're going to dig a little bit more into that. But first here, let's look at the customer engager. I'm using the term customer engager as a sort of as a positioning term, not necessarily as a title, although consider that. So first thing about a customer engager is they need to be passionate about the essential value of plants and about people. Without that commitment, they're going to fall short of their potential. Not what you sell, what you stand for. There's a link here to a Google Doc, and it's a letter that we sent out as a press release for you to consider sending to your customers. Very important to take a look at that, and whether you adapt that letter and send it as your own, or whether you pull pieces out of it and promote it that way, we don't really care. But take a look at that letter and the positioning of it, because we have to convince ourselves and our people that we're doing this for the right reasons first. If we're not convinced ourselves, we're not going to be as effective as we could be. So let's convince ourselves. There are many great things about plants, and all of the great things about plants have been documented, studied. There's research to back them up. It's real, it's true. Plants are just as important for people as medicine is. No, that's not true. Plants are more important for people than medicine is, because plants are what keeps many people from needing medicine in the first place. It's about mindset. That's the mindset we need to have. And it's true. It's highly documented. We need to believe that like we believe nothing else. Second thing about customer engagement, the customer engager, is we need to take it home for them. We need to make sure that their family feels the same, that they look at, their mom and dad going to work the same as a firefighter's son or daughter would look at their parent going to work. Same as if they're going to the hospital to work. It's that important. If we don't believe it, who will? So we need to take that home so that their family is proud of their person working in horticulture, and they're proud to support them. Okay, customer engager number 3, committed to professional services. Professionalism is what we're after here. How does a professional think, and what does a professional do? I mentioned that before, it's worth repeating. How does a professional think? What does a professional do? If we concentrate on those ideals, we'll live closer to them. These are times of great stress, and people fall apart under great stress if they don't have the proper mindset. If they're not thinking about how they're contributing, what the purpose of what they're doing is, they can fall apart. So we've got to not just be there to pick up the pieces. That's the wrong end of that's the tail wagging the dog. We've got to be out in front, providing the treats, providing the rubs on the ears and rubbing the neck. I love to rub my dog's neck in the morning and just scratch his neck and make him feel great. Great thing. We need to do the same for our people. Customer engagers also need to build a team. So now that we have the proper mindset about it, we're taking care of ourselves. Now we're going to take care of our engagers. We're going to build a team of like-minded, highly effective people. The like-mindedness, getting people on the same page, is really important. Really important. If you don't have everyone on the same page, they're on different pages. That's the way it works. So get them on the same page so that they're moving forward in the same direction, trying to accomplish the same result, the same purpose. Number 5 is set expectations. So we have team expectations that we need to set. How do things work around here is a great question to ask ourselves. How do things work around here? How do people know how it works around here? We have to define that, and we have to create a set of expectations about how things work so it works like a well-oiled machine, because it will work like a clunky old rusty falling apart machine if we haven't done that. So setting team expectations around how things work around here is extremely important to developing a great culture. Getting people to embrace a new employee and say, allow me to show you how things work. Allow me to tell you how we do this thing. It's not that we don't change our mind. You know, it's not the way we've always done it. We're always looking for input to make it better. But let's show them how we do it first, and then tell them, you know, if you have a better idea, we're listening for it. We want to make it better. This is how good we've got it right now. This is why we do what we do and how we do what we do. Then we add to that customer expectations. You know, we get to define for the customer how things work in our business. We can let them think that it works the way it works everywhere else, or we can be a little bit different in our own unique way and share that with them. You know, when you go into Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's Wholesale, any one of those warehouse clubs, things work very different than when you go into Walmart, don't they? They do. It's up to us to tell customers what to expect, how this place is different. You can be different. Okay, you have to be good, if not great, but you can be different. Different is usually better. So how do things work around here? Like a well-oiled machine, because we've got everybody fully committed, working the same way in the same direction, and always trying to improve on what we have. So here's some things to think about for next steps. First, as we engage the engagers, think about who the customer engagers really are. Who's the front line right in front of the customer? Now we have to think about it this way. Who's the front line on our website, you know, with our e-commerce if we're doing that? Who's the front line on the telephone engagement that we're doing? And who's the front line on engaging in the store? So who are they? So it's who first, then how. Who are they? Let's get those folks engaged in the proper way, like we've just discussed. Then next we'll go into part 3, which is terms of engagement. What are the terms of engagement of the engagers? How do they engage the customer? This is the process, how it works around here. So we're going to have another session coming up within the next week to go into that part 3. We've kept this one short on purpose. We know that you're busy, have a lot to do, but starting off at the beginning, getting things in the proper perspective is the first step. Part 3, the terms of engagement, we'll get into practices. The practices of how you do the things that you do, and some better ways to look at those will be part 3. Okay, Danny, any questions?
I don't see any chat questions. We'll go ahead and open everybody up. If you're using an app, the Zoom app, bottom left, you can unmute everyone. And I will go ahead and unmute all at the same time. Anyone have questions for Sid on part 2? Building the team and keeping the team involved is very important right now, more than ever, really. It's a quiet bunch this morning, Sid.
That's fun. Everyone's super busy, and I know a lot of people signed up to attend this, probably just so they'd get the link.
Get all those off the register. Richard? These were all new. I came to your email last night.
Sid, one of the things that is catching on through some of the discussions we're having with some of our centers, during this time of sanitizing and distancing and all of that, how important it is for every employee to be in touch and fully involved and feel responsible for that process equally.
Yeah, I can agree and reinforce that. I think that's the personal responsibility for your own safety as well as the safety of everyone around you has really got to come first right now. Yeah. There's a real danger to anything else being in first place.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments, everyone?
LARCON. Okay.
Well, Sid, we appreciate you being here with us and appreciate this message. Everyone watch for part 3 of this. Okay. We will be sending out details and also in GROUPtalk Monday. So watch for that part 3, terms of engagement. So Sid, thank you for this.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.